This Jeep Grand Wagoneer S electric car retails for over $70,000, but it actually doesn't. There are discounts on this vehicle, $20,000, sometimes almost $30,000. Jeep cannot sell these. And today I'm going to tackle why. Why is this vehicle not selling on the market? There's a lot of different reasons, and man, it's quite glaring how outclassed this vehicle is due to the competition being quite strong, as well as a lack of EV tax credit, all this. So we're gonna tackle all that today, but stay to the end because we're gonna cross shop this and then put it on the spreadsheet. Is this one of the absolute worst vehicles you can buy in 2025? Or is it one of the best buys because these things are discounted to the moon? Ow. What just stabbed me? The clip stabbed me. There's little push pins in here that went right under my nail. There's a little frunk in here. All right, so under the hood, we have not really, and it's not an engine obviously, but dual motor, all-wheel drive. This car's issue is not acceleration or power, it's the execution in so many other ways, but 600 horsepower, almost 620 pound-feet of torque, a 94 kilowatt-hour battery. I'm seeing, and this is the strongest aspect of this vehicle, my city efficiency is 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour. That's close to about 400 miles of city range. Now that drops on the highway, but I haven't been driving this on the highway this week. All right, we got two little shocks on each end, which is kind of nice to prop up your hood if you want to use your frunk. All right, little windshield washer fluid access there, but let's go ahead and close this down. Oh geez. There it goes. All right, so build quality I think is one of the glaring issues of this vehicle, or the lack thereof. So we're gonna go ahead and tackle that as best as I can. All right, the hood, it sits up above the bumper. This fender here, well, here, let me get you a little bit closer. Let's just take the camera. These are plastic, and that's not screaming over $70,000 for your front fender to be plastic. All right, and it doesn't line up. The fender overlaps a little bit. Is this way too high? It's not going to show up on camera, but this is high. If my friend David Chow from Automotive Press was here, he would be roasting this thing for its bad tolerances. Okay, it's wide here, it gets narrow here, for example. All right, the fender, sorry for the bird poop. The fender, it cups up here, and then the bumper just doesn't align with the fender. It's wider up here, narrower down there. The door slams don't sound good. It sounds like something's broken on the inside, but I don't think it is. Oh, also this little piece here on the bottom, I don't really fault Jeep for this, but this is an issue. Okay, it's just really low to the ground, so I bet another journalist ran up on like a parking stop and pulled this down, and the plastic's busted off. Like, look at this right here. Not only is it drops down from this to this, it's completely unleveled, this side being much higher. Look at the build quality right here. These things look like they're twisted, this side being higher, and it's also very flimsy. And then this side being a bit lower. I will say my favorite thing about the Wagoneer S exterior design is this wing. Huge gaps. Look at these gaps here on the wing. That is immense, okay? And then we get to the back, and this is typically where even good car manufacturers have issues, is with the rear hatch. Okay, this is much tighter over here. I can't get my pinky in on this side. We come to this side, I can get not only my pinky through, I could almost, my other finger, my index finger can almost fit through there. Let's go over charging real quick since we're over here. CCS1, we don't have NACS in here. It's 10 to 80%, something like that, a little over 20 minutes. It'll peak charge over 200 kilowatts. It'll charge up to 11 kilowatts in AC, which is really fast AC charging. The doors, real quick, you know, they don't really close that great. Oh, that one, it did it that time, but I can just see my kids over and over not being able to close this door. You have to push it quite firmly. Now, I did go to the store this morning with the Wagoneer S, and it has tons of cargo space, about 30 cubic feet of cargo space. And you can fold down the seats as well, but yeah, just 12 volt, no 110 or 120 volt AC power back here, which is kind of a miss. Let's see what's underneath. All right, established in 1963. Well, not the electric version. Okay, some nice underfloor storage. No spare tire though. In fact, I wonder where my Fix-A-Flat kit is in this vehicle. There's no button up here to close it. You have to press this button and there it goes. There's also another Easter egg over here, established in 1963 Wagoneer, but of course that was an internal combustion car. I mean, look at this gap right here on the bumper. It's really tight and it looks like it's pretty well aligned. And then you come to this side and there is a massive gap, and it looks like, you know, this piece should be much tighter, like almost like that. Okay, but it's not. Now, I may be harsh on the build quality, but I don't think the Wagoneer S is a bad looking vehicle by any means. I mean, the front end, I definitely think it has that Jeep heritage with the 7 columns there, but up front, it looks like a much smaller vehicle than the Classic kind of competes in. This is technically a mid-size, but the front seems more of like a compact, and then you get to the back, and then it kind of grows into a mid-size, and then the cool wing in the back is the best, the absolute best part about the Wagoneer S. I mean, the back seat, some nice materials. Jeeps actually typically have, at least if you look at the Grand Cherokee, they have pretty good materials here, and you can see the door just kind of closed on me by itself there. Anyways, there's auto down windows, but this door handle button is the same in the front seat, and it should be here, so I can just push here and then push the door. Instead, it's down here. So what I have to do is, well, I don't have super long thumbs. I have normal sized hands kind of, and so I kind of have to push or rotate my hand and then push the door open. There's no mechanical lever like there is in the front seat. All right, so let's get into the back seat. Lots of space back here. You know, I mentioned no 110 volt in the back, but there's 115 volt, 150 watt, which is actually pretty low wattage for an electric car. But USB-Cs, we have heated and ventilated seats in the back seat, big panel roof, nice headliner here, I will say that. Armrest, nice cup holders. All right, let's go and get in the front seat, get the AC going, and break down the issues I have with the front seat. Again, here you go. Like, I kind of have, there's nothing natural feeling about this. I always have to like adjust my hand to get that button. We're gonna be in here a while with the Wagoneer S. I think overall, before I get into the things that really annoy me, because there's a lot, I think the comfort's good. I just discovered this has massaging seats because it's hidden underneath here in this like fold down screen, which feels like, honestly, it feels like it's gonna break it. And I may have just broken it right there. I may have just, and I'm just pushing it to the top. There it goes, it's staying. I almost don't want to play with it again. All right, but I just discovered that after driving this for an hour or so, that the screen drops down. All right, I try to get into these cars without doing any research. Okay, the first time I get in, I don't want to know anything about it. I don't want my opinion to be skewed in any sort of way. All right, when I looked at the market, then I am like, why is this thing discounted so much? So I'm like, now I'm trying to discover things in this car, why it's, well, I had other issues before even knowing that it was cheap, but, or should I say steeply discounted, all right? But regardless, this is not a good idea, okay? This is not well executed, but I do have USB-Cs back here. I have an HDMI to play with this screen, and this is all plastic here, which I have been blinded already. These buttons I can't see no matter what, okay? They're not buttons, they're touch capacitive. All right, so they're ventilated and heated somewhere in here, and then heated seat. I can't see it because the wheel of the steering wheel is perfectly aligned to cover up all of these buttons and the volume button. And yes, I can fold my steering wheel in. I still can't see them. It's still, this is all the way it goes. I still, no matter where I put the steering wheel, I cannot see this column of touch capacitive buttons. When it's all the way at me, I can almost, if I move my head, all right, but it's too close to me, all right? So like right here, so where I like my steering wheel, I can't see this, I can't even see the volume. Luckily, I can feel the volume knob. Now, I have more touch buttons here, a touch panel here. They're in the worst spot I've ever seen buttons be, or should I say touch buttons, because I need to stabilize my hand while I'm on here, okay? But unfortunately, when you stabilize your hand, you may press all these other icons that are built within your hand rest area, like the 360 cameras right here. So if you're just playing around with the screen, you're gonna hit traction control, your lane keep, you're gonna hit those things. All right, so let's go ahead and get out of that. Now, for volume, this is also kind of strange here. If I want my volume up, it's a little Garth, all right, that's great. I like that I have a volume now. That's one of the wins in here. I also have volume control behind the steering wheel, not bad. There's a mute button here. So if I want to just quickly turn off the radio, I can press the volume button down, but it kills the entire screen. You would think that pressing the volume button down would just kill the audio. No, it turns off everything on the screens. Okay, so let me turn it back on. Let's turn down Garth. Let's not get copyright strike. I can turn the screen off individually with this touch capacitive button all the way over here. All right, but there's nothing convenient about it. And I can mute it with a touch capacitive button here, but it's not on. Like, how am I supposed to reach my mute button without being able to see it? And it's not built into the volume knob. It's one of the most bizarre control setups. I feel like none of this was tested whatsoever. I feel like it was all just like, hey, let's an EV, let's like wow people. And there's nothing wowing me in here instead of the frustrating controls. Luckily, I still have physical buttons on the steering wheel. And I can flip through my information pretty easily. It's very laggy. Like, the frames per second is like 10 frames per second to get through this stuff. It's kind of a joke. My head-up display, while I have one, and you can customize it, but you have to customize it through the main screen here. So, and you have to be stopped because God forbid you're playing with anything in the car, all right, while you're driving. You can do all this through the screen while you're driving, but they won't let you mess with your head-up display. It's just stupid. So I come down to customize, which then it says set custom layout and radio. Well, I'm assuming this is a touchscreen radio here. And then I play with this, all at a stop, mind you. All right. No matter what setting I set here, the font of the customized head-up display is the smallest font I've ever, and it completely negates the benefit of having a head-up display. All right. It's like 8-sized font, if you guys know what I mean. All right. So I can't use a customized head-up display because I have good vision, but like I shouldn't have to be like looking hard to see my speed on the head-up display. That's the point of a head-up display, is to easily know without moving your eyes or focusing too hard. So what I have to do is I have to actually get out of the customize and just set it on a simple. There's a simple setting and it gets really big font, which is nice. But I can't customize the simple setting with the big font, and my speed limit warning is always up there, taking up half the screen of my head-up display. So it's super frustrating. I'll just end it there with the head-up display. I could rant on it all day long. This dash, super cheap, $70,000. Give me a break, it rattles when I drive. Materials in here. Well, this black interior is not very nice, to be honest. Like, it's not terrible and it's comfortable, I'll give it that, but doesn't scream $65,000, $70,000 what these things retail for. All right, and again, that button, I just saw the button over here. Like, when I want to get out of the car, I kind of have to rotate my wrist and body to just press this button to open the door. There's a physical lever here to open it, which is maybe something. Oh, the door didn't even close that time. Jeez Louise. Okay, it's just a mess. All right, more glossy black here, not good. Squircle steering wheel, and then just, what is this? Like, is this supposed to make the steering wheel feel fancier? I guarantee this is going to blind me later in the day when I pick up the kids. All right. What does this car do well? Well, the comfort's good. I have a ventilated wireless charger. Oh, this may have come from one of my kids. All right, but we'll just put in my backpack for now, the hamster water bottle hugger. I have different drive modes here. I like Eco the best because the pedal is oddly sensitive in here. Really sensitive pedal, and it makes for a jerky experience, even though I have a really smooth throttle. I'm very proud of my throttle application, whether it's a gas car, a motorcycle, an EV, but it's still difficult to have a smoothed out experience. So I put it in Eco to give me the most smooth experience. It's still not smooth compared to just about every EV, maybe it's still a more jerky experience compared to every EV I think I've driven. This is frustrating. When I turn off the car, it always resets to the minimum regen braking. I like the maximum. I don't know why battery regeneration levels are unavailable. That is weird. I haven't had this issue before. See how it's red out? Typically this is a bar of green. I don't know why it's not giving me, is the car, let's restart the car here. Well, that was really bizarre. We're gonna turn it back on, and then it's working now. This little launch edition screen here. Now my min-max is working for my regen, and it does do one pedal driving, even though we'll talk about how it's not great again when we start driving. But like, I have to, every single time, there's no button in here, of course, all right, for adjusting my regen. I have an auto brake hold button. I have a downhill ascent control button, or downhill descent control, whatever you want to call that. All right, but I don't have a regen button. I don't have paddle shifters to adjust my regen, which is weird. All right, let's say I'm home, or I'm in my nav or whatever. I would have to go to vehicle, all right, make sure I'm in electric vehicle, make sure I'm in the driving tab, and then hit max every time I want that feature or the maximum regen braking. I have a digital rear mirror. I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, you can see the chickens in the back. Shout out to the chickies. And then sunglasses holder. We have a garage opener, which is nice. Over here, what is this auto button? What is that? Oh, that's auto parking brake, which it turns on all the time. And then I have to manually turn off the parking brake every time. Do I hold this down to disable it? I'm not quite sure. Okay, but there's an illuminated auto button here. I'm not quite sure what that's for, and I don't really care to look it up either. Frunk button, which is weird because the frunk button's down here, and then the rear hatch button's up here. All right. Macintosh stereo, it has good mids. That's about it. It gets loud. The bass wasn't very good. And I've tested the Macintosh and other Jeeps before and been really impressed. Like the Grand Cherokee, I remember having a really nice Macintosh. I'm not that impressed with it in this vehicle. I don't know why. Maybe I'm expecting more for how expensive this is. Cup holders are good. Happy about the cup holder stitch. And shall we start driving? Yes, of course it has. I've just put it into reverse, top 360 camera, whatever. It has an annoying noise at low speeds under 23 miles an hour, which is required to have a pedestrian warning noise in an electrified vehicle, even if it's a hybrid. But the electrified noise in here is pretty obnoxious. Is it as bad as the Honda Prologues? It's close, honestly. It's pretty close to as bad. Loud enough to possibly be a deal breaker. But honestly, of all the things in this car that, are less than ideal, that's not one that would be the deal breaker for me. Where does this vehicle succeed? Well, it's fast, and we'll do 0 to 60 here when we get some space. Ride quality is okay. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's okay. When I hit speed bumps though, I am disappointed. I'll say that. Like, it feels a bit dodgy when I hit something big in the road, but most of the time it's fine ride quality. Other than the efficiency in town, which again, I saw 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour. Now, I wasn't pushing the AC hard or the heat hard or anything like that. So that's probably best case scenario on flat land, here in Florida, warm temperatures, the battery wasn't cold or anything like that. But it is quiet. I'll give Jeep this. Like, I got acoustic glass here. I wouldn't be surprised if I have it in the back. It's a very quiet car. And as a result, I do hear things like when this decides to rattle, I do hear it. Now, I had the weirdest, I don't know if it's me getting old, it's always possible, but I had the weirdest experience driving this morning. And maybe it was the strange overcast as the sun was coming up. But everything that I looked out of this windshield just looked blurry. And maybe, I don't know what it was. The side window looked clear, but as it got brighter out, it cleared up. Okay, so now that it's daylight out, I don't have any issues with the visibility, but maybe I just had one of those weird mornings when your eyes are a little bit cloudy. I think you guys would know what I mean. All right, so we're gonna put it into sport mode here. Immediately I felt the pedal even get more sensitive, and we're just gonna I just smoked those tires. Oh my gosh. I have never done a burnout like that, an all-wheel drive burnout in my life. The amount of smoke that just I haven't gone full throttle. I've been driving my kids to school, so I haven't gone anywhere close to full throttle in this thing this week. And maybe the tires are a little bit cold. 0 to 60 in 4.16. I just felt like a Hellcat hooligan there. I mean, who needs to go that fast? All right, we know it can go fast. I bet it can do 0 to 60 even faster, 3.5 seconds. I don't care, honestly. It's because how often are you going full throttle in a vehicle like this? All right, you have it, and that passing power is crazy. When you get into the throttle, though, it does reverberate. An electric motor reverberation that kind of shudders the vehicle. I don't know if that's intentional. It's a bit weird, but I'm gonna get out of sport mode and get back into eco mode where the pedal is still sensitive, but not nearly as nauseating. All right, I want the pedal to be way more doled out, and let's go ahead and try to take this turn here. All right, well, there's a truck coming. Oh, that's the kids' car seats there. All right, let's throw this in the turn. So sensitive even in eco mode. It handles well for an EV. That was impressive. All right, but most of my roads that you can see here are just straight. All right, so it handles pretty well. I'll give it that. It's fast as I'll give it that, but aren't most EVs inherently fast? I want this vehicle outside of the fast. All right, I'm using the speed maybe less than 5% of the time. Full throttle less than 1% of the time. So 99% of the time I want other things to be pleasant and easy to work with. Well, they got the comfort down, they got the quiet down, but interacting with the car is just, I don't want to do it. All right, I don't want to accidentally touch something. Messing with these things that I can't see. All right, it's not a very well executed vehicle. All right, and the market has spoken that it's not a well executed vehicle. I have the max regen on, and if I just let it come to a stop here on its own, which it'll do, it smooths it out, and then it kind of clunks. It kind of clunks forward. All right, I can bring it smoother to a stop with my foot, sort of. It's really difficult to bring this to a really nice smooth stop. Most of the time, the last little bit, it feels like it's slamming on the brakes and it just teeter-totters forward. Similar to the Nissan Ariya, which is no longer available here in the United States, and the Nissan Ariya, and I'm getting blinded by the screen. I don't know if you guys can see that. All right, it's just blowing up my face right now. All right, but yeah, like the Nissan Ariya was an okay EV. I didn't really have it, like the interior was incredible in that thing. All right, and it was a cheaper EV, and Nissan's like, we're killing it, we're losing money. I can't imagine how much money Jeep is losing on this car. I really don't have anything else to say about the Wagoneer S. So let's head into the office. Can I recommend buying one if you can get one for 20, 30 grand off? Well, let's find out. All right, let's look for these crazy deals, guys. Is it even worth it when you have so much money off? First thing that comes up, 22 grand off of MSRP. Another one, 20. Now that's a limited. It's not as fast. It's still fast as hell. It's not as fast as the launch edition that I drove. But look, here's one that's sticker for $67K, and they're trying to sell it for under $40,000. Guys, that's $28,000 price drop. That is absolutely bonkers. Here's another one, 26 grand price drop. Would I buy it? Would I still buy this? Or would I think about buying it if it's under 40K? And the answer is no. No, it doesn't. It's not that special, obviously. Would I rather have a Honda? I think the Honda looks better. The Honda has better controls. Now, these are just 26s, and there are price drops already starting on the 26 models. And keep in mind, this is built in Mexico by General Motors. And it does have a really loud pedestrian warning noise, and it beats the Jeep there in terms of having annoying noises, fake noises pumped in. Is it? I don't know. With no EV tax credit, most of these EVs are done in the water, all right? But like this one is just crazy. Price drop of $28,000 roughly. And does it have the light interior? No, it has a black interior that I tested, which is nothing special. What about the new Toyota BZ? I haven't driven it since May. All right, it was a pre-production, but I was really impressed with it, to be honest. And I would pick this. I mean, for the same money, I'd pick this. Is it as fast? No. Do I need to go that fast? Never. Never. I don't care. This is very efficient. I need to test it more, to be honest, at home to see what kind of efficiency these next gen e-axles have in the new BZ. But look, these things have just hit the lots. Last month I looked and there were none available. These things have just hit the lots, these BZs, and they're already being discounted. Look at this one. 33 grand? Guys, that's a good buy. Is that the cheapest one I can find? 29 grand? You can get the new BZ. 29 grand. I know that's the front wheel drive model, but still, that's crazy. That's less than the new RAV4 hybrid. It's less than a new RAV4 hybrid. Something to think about. This Ioniq 5N is roughly the same speed as this Jeep thing, but it puts down the power way better, has way more grip, but the Wagoneer is really efficient. And it probably has low resistance rolling tires. I didn't even check. I don't really care. But for me to do that long of a burnout tells me I don't really have performance tires on it. I probably have all seasons or something like that. This vehicle sacrifices efficiency, the Ioniq 5N, for elite performance. The grip you have when you throw this in the turns, the grip you have when you just boom, gun it, it's always there. And the controls are amazing in this vehicle. Real buttons and whatnot, real paddle shifters it's just, if I'm spending 60 to 70K on a performance EV, it would be this. It wouldn't be that Wagoneer. But what about the standard Ioniq 5? I would absolutely take this. It's one of my favorite EVs in the midsize segment. Still really fantastic. Let me see how low you can get these. 35K. Would I pick this over the Toyota EV? Well, no, because I can get these for dirt cheap. All right, even cheaper than the Ioniq 5s, which is just bonkers. What about the Chevy Equinox? Look, 23 grand. The Chevy Equinox feels about the same build quality as that Jeep. When I last drove an Equinox EV, I'm like, well, I know it's a cheap car, so I'm not going to graded that hard for being not perfectly built. In fact, the build quality actually might be better here on the Equinox than it is on that Wagoneer S. But yeah, you can get these well under $20,000 or $30,000. And would I pick a BZ over this for upper 20s? Yes. But if you can get one for under 24K, I mean, that's the sort of deal that is just unheard of nowadays. But they're advertising it as just bonkers. And what about a Tesla? Tesla all-wheel drive performance dual motor, 57K instead of 67K. Or 72K. So, and I know the Tesla experience overall is going to be better than that Wagoneer. Now, would I have an experience on the inside that's rough? Probably, because I'm old school. I like physical buttons, but at least they're going to get the touchscreen experience, right? Which that car doesn't really do. Let's go ahead and put on the spreadsheet. Where's my little guide here? Is the Wagoneer S take my money? Obviously not. They can't sell these things with up to $30,000 discounts. Is it an excellent purchase? No. Salpine? No. Fire sale only? No. Because it is on fire sale, no one's buying them. Would I buy it on fire sale only? Is this kind of like a hidden gem? Absolutely not. So it's almost like I almost need to create a category for it because it's not completely terrible. It's not pay me to drive. It wasn't, well, it was annoying. It was annoying because of the interface. It wasn't as annoying, let's say, as the Hummer EV SUV. The artificial noises on that were just so ridiculous. And driving it takes up the whole width of the road. I just hated driving it. I don't hate to drive this vehicle as much, but it's built so poorly and there's nothing really redeeming about it. It doesn't even look that cool. I think you guys would agree. There's nothing redeeming about the Jeep Wagoneer S. It feels like a $30,000 vehicle that, well, it's stickered way more. And you might be saying, Kirk, the performance, I don't care if it can do 0 to 60 under 4 seconds. Because 99% of the time when I'm not doing 0 to 60s, it's not a very good car. And what kills it is the price. You might be saying, Kirk, 30 grand off. It's still not as cheap as the competition, which does everything else better. And that's really where, like, I put the Denali Terrain GMC, does nothing better than any rival. That's the same thing. Does nothing better, other than 0 to 60, does nothing better for way more money. It does nothing better than a Tesla, really, but costs a lot more. And there you go. I am going to end that there. It's a D. I don't hate driving it. It's just not a good car. If I had one for a rental or something, I wouldn't care that much, but it's not, I don't think it's the worst car I've driven this year. I think it is one of the worst, and we'll put it up above maybe the Hummer. All right, it doesn't really matter because I would never recommend these cars to anyone. Absolutely not. And I'd even mention the ID4. Is ID4 even on sale anymore? That sort of thing. Like, there's just a ton of EVs and the market's so small, especially now that there's no more EV tax credit. This is not a good EV. One EV that had essentially the same technology as this, Dodge Daytona Scat Pack EV. At least that thing looks cool. It looks cool. And the interior I enjoyed a lot more. So the Dodge Daytona EV, which again, I'm curious, what is a Dodge Daytona EV even selling for? What kind of discounts? And I would rather have a Dodge Daytona EV over the Jeep Wagoneer EV. $44K. Look, you get the cool orange. Way cooler car. Way cooler car than what I just drove. I love the hood on these things. All right. What, 20 grand off of MSRP? That's not enough. It needs to be like 40, 50 grand off of MSRP, honestly. Let's see what the lowest price on these things are. 36K, and they sticker for what? 56, 66K, something like that. 37K, stickers at 63K. I still wouldn't buy it for 37K. It would have to be more like, I don't know. It's just not a good buy. It looks cool, and I'd rather put the inline six in it, and I'd take that instead, you know? Let me know if you agree or disagree with my assessment of the Wagoneer S. S does not stand for success in this situation, and it is one of the more disappointing cars I've driven this year. I'll see you in the comments, and not even discounts can save this car in the tune of $30,000. Thank you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day. Stay safe out there, and peace.